Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on part 2 of my Karambit build. Hopefully you watched the first video, but me and a couple buddies are making a knife, and one of them wanted a Karambit, so we decided to make that. Now in this video it'll be mostly me because I'm going to be doing a lot of grinding and just simple stuff like that that's time consuming and only one person can do. So right here, I'm just grinding down the bevels a little bit and cleaning up all the forging scale stuff. I think I'm using 40 grit sandpaper, just 1 by 30 or whatever the belt grinder is. Not a huge belt or anything. Right here, I decided to clean up the ring and handle a little bit using the angle grinder because the belt grinder was just taking too long. So then, still working on that a little bit. As you can see, I left quite a bit there, so I'm going to cut that off using the angle grinder. Otherwise, everything else is basically done as far as grinding goes. It'll just be polishing now. And I believe I touched that right after I ground it and burned my finger. So there's how it's looking. Got a little bit more grinding to do. Not too bad though. Then I was trying to thin down the handle somewhat so it's not as thick. I watched an Alex Steele video. Great video. He made a 1,000,000 layer Damascus karambit. And I kind of liked his design, so I was trying to copy it somewhat. Real quick, I was talking about the, right here, I was just grinding out the handle because, once again, the belt grinder was taking too long. I did not get any footage of me filing down the ring. It was a rather small hole, and I was enlarging it, and it still is very snug on my fingers. Fortunately, the other guys have smaller fingers, and the one who wants the knife, it fits nicely, so that should work well. Now I'm starting to actually polish the blade a little bit, so I'm using 150 grit, 240, and 400, I believe. And right here, it slipped out of my hand and fell into the grinder and put 2 really bad nicks in the blade. I was a little worried at first that I wouldn't be able to get them out, and fortunately the other side was nice and clean, but the one side really got me nervous. But as you can see, I was able to clean that up quite easily actually. It only took me a couple minutes, so I decided to proceed to 240 grit. Throw that baby on there, spin it a few times, tighten it up, and we're back to grinding. So after I ground that blade, or that grit on the blade, I went to the 400 and really just polished that up. We don't like grinding though, so we'll kind of skip past this. So then it was on to heat treat, and I decided to kind of normalize it a couple times. It's fairly cold out. I don't remember the exact temperature, but it was probably 30 some degrees in the shop, maybe 40 once I had the forge going, so it cooled off probably a little bit faster than you'd want for a normal or a regular normalizing cycle. But I'm pretty happy with how those went. I put the other rod in the forge. That was normalizing cycle number 2. I put that other rod in the forge to heat up the oil because the oil had actually started to kind of freeze. And fire is fun, so I had to play with it a little bit and make some fireballs. This one was probably the best though. So then it was on to actually heat treating the blade, and I'm not sure. I test the hardness at the end, and it's not as hard as it should be, I don't think. That was a U-bolt. You can kind of see one over by my elbow lying on the ground. That was a U-bolt from our Ford F-250. We put a leveling kit on the truck, and it needed larger U-bolts. So the old U-bolts should be fairly high carbon. But I don't believe I got the blade hot enough, and it's kind of soft. Now, seeing as this is a slashing blade, I wasn't too worried, especially because it's for a buddy of mine. I know he's probably not going to be using it that much. If it were for a customer other than my buddy, I would definitely have redone that and gotten a nice hard blade. Here I'm testing the hardness with a file, and it was decent, definitely not spectacular. So we let the forge cool down, and we went inside to temper the blade in the toaster oven. Now, I apologize about the lighting because it's pretty bad inside, but I took it 350 to 400 Fahrenheit, somewhere in that range, and I put it in there for an hour, let it cool down completely, and then did that again. Thanks for watching, guys. Watch for part 3 because that will be coming out soon. See ya.